Hi Capricorn, welcome to your reading with me, Cindy. Capricorn, we're dipping into the energy of the Fae this week. We want to ask the fairies, so I'm using Brian Frout's fairy deck, about your past, your present, and your future. And let's see what kind of information they can give us about that for you, Capricorn. Capricorn, I'm not sure if this is going to be like a really short reading or a really long reading. Oh, you guys probably know already because you can see the time on it. Because this reading is so obvious and upfront about what it is with the cards that have come out. I actually, after I shuffled it all out, and before I got on the camera with you, I went back into the fairy book. Where did I put it? Oh, it's over here. Back into the fairy book, just to double check the cards. Like, this is crazy synchronistic. It is basically, this is the healing of divine masculine and divine feminine energies. It is the divine, it's basically like, I would say, the divine masculine actively going towards the divine feminine, with perhaps wanting to open up emotionally. I'm not sure. It's the card that you have. So just bear with me. I know this sits in the past, but I feel like it's more than that. So it says forgiveness. It might be forgiving things from the past. Here's the thing. I don't know that this reading can be read in past, present, and future. I think it's read as two energies that come together to make the third whole, because I have 3 sections here. So I want to say it's more like an olive branch, and I don't want to get hung up on the concept of the divine masculine apologizing to the divine feminine, although it's kind of here like that, because I feel like both energies have their own stories, have their own reasons, have their own faults, and have their own, I want to say, path. Honestly, it almost feels like a misunderstanding. But anyways, so I'm just going to keep, so please too, if you see yourself as the divine masculine, at times it might come out like you're going towards the divine feminine to apologize, and I don't want to put everything on the divine masculine. But anyway, so it's not. It's literally, though, it is the concept of giving and receiving. And it appears, look at this. Look at this. This is why I like to shuffle. You can see me shuffle it. Even though, I mean, you see me shuffle like how I used to. And I might still do that for really short readings. And then like on the camera like this. Like, these are the cards that came out. So past and present. But again, I feel like it is yang. This is yang. This is the he of the fiery sword. And this is she of the Kruak. And it is, this is the yang, and this is the yin. And this is the active, and this is the receptive. And look at this. And look at the puppies, right? So the he of the fiery sword, the masculine, the yang, has the forgiveness. It's like actively doing something, right? Like coming in for a lick. For a lick. And then, but vulnerability, one would have to be kind of vulnerable to open themselves up to receive. I mean, that is exactly what that is. And then what I like at the end is relaxation. It's like almost everything feels better. So, and here's the other thing that I get too, which is really interesting. There is something about, I want to say, someone who is disconnected walks towards someone else. And the someone else is coming up as a masculine energy, as the King of Fire. So there could be some emotional distance that is bridged here. I can't read this as past, present, and future. It's not that. It is not. This reading is much more than that. I actually made little notes because I sat and I want to make sure I get all this, because I thought I knew what it was when I was looking at it, and I thought, I gotta read the book. I gotta go into the book and make sure, like, that it is this. Because, okay, here's the other thing. 4, 5, and 6, right? So here's your underlying cards. Or sorry, yeah, 4, 5, and 6. So you have 4 and 5, the yang, the yin, and then the connection, number 6. And that's sitting as part of the underline. And then the underline to me speaks of the difficulty. Sorry, well, part of it, I don't know. Okay. So I'm following my notes here because I want to get, there's key points here. So, okay. The master maker, number 22. It is a master number 2, which is really interesting. Master number 22. This is about do what you do and make it better. You know, perfect something and then perfect it even more. And then this is about balance. This is about pulling things apart and coming into balance. That could even be like of the self. This whole reading can be of yourself. Like this could be your own divine masculine within you, because we all hold those as well, and our own divine feminine within us as well. So yeah, it's such a spiritual reading. It's incredible. And it is too, I want to say, even like, it could even be your own divine masculine asking parts of you for forgiveness, and you being open enough to hear it and understand it, and vulnerable enough to understand why parts of you have done things in the past, and like embrace that in a way, because it is like yourself, but better. And I feel like this is like breaking it down. Well, undressing it, exposing it. And then the singer of connection, spiritual connection, balance, karma is another key word that comes in with this. So it is correcting that. I actually don't think I've seen tons of different readings too. And, you know, just the stuff that I've pulled out as well. I don't think I've ever seen a reading that was so specifically the healing of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Okay, so then we get into the next card in the underline in this little, it's not a triptych, it's a 3, 4, 5, 6 stick. So I think I'm out right. Anyways, so, okay. Duty, willingness, and joy. Okay, it's almost like, you know, you have to do something, and I'm going to do it, and I do it of my free will, and I do it from a good place within me, which I think is really fascinating too, because that can be both taken as like when we offer something to somebody, like is a sort of like I like to call it the olive branch, because I feel like when I say, like, you know, extending an olive branch is like, can we meet halfway? And that's what this is, because it is, can we meet halfway? I said, like, right from the beginning of this, I didn't feel comfortable saying, oh, this is the masculine coming to apologize to the feminine, and then she'll come and talk to him. I just think that it's so petty, and it's so small, and it's so egotistical too, from the point of view of the person who is receptive, which would be the feminine in this reading. Yes, so with a willingness and a joy, it is the olive branch because it is meeting halfway. I like that. I like that, actually. It is two polarities coming together. Oh my gosh, if this could be like the universe, the earth, that would be amazing. So amazing. So, and then it takes us into, what's very interesting, the soul sucker. Now, I don't feel, the soul sucker is a very uncomfortable card. And it can be like, could be somebody that we meet and they could feel like an energy vampire. There's just like something really negative. And this card though too, like even to talk about cruelty, gossip, destruction, but then it leads into blessings. So it is to break these things down. It is, in a sense, what is kind of meant to happen when two polar opposites come together. Like they polarize and then they come in. Like it's the destruction. The polarization is the destruction. And then it comes in. And I love the olive. I'm just getting like that, like the olive branch. Yeah. What else comes in with that? Oh yeah, banish the curse. Steps needed to love, be compassionate, and give forgiveness. Isn't that amazing? Like, and to say that, like the forgiveness. And I want to say too, the forgiveness, the olive branch, the forgiveness, it's all like a meeting in the middle. And then the poke, which is the last one in the fairy underlying, is resolving the paradox. Isn't that amazing? It's the good and the bad and the bad and the good. And I think that also tells us why it's so important that I want to say too, like, because in a lot of these kind of readings, like when we talk about divine feminine, divine masculine, higher spiritual relationships that we have with people and even within ourselves, like things that we may shy away from when we should be running towards them, you know, balancing our own masculine and feminine and vice versa. Maybe we shy away when we should run towards, or we run towards when we should shy away, and all that shit. But it really, it's, where was I going with this? So much. So let's just slow down and let's ground it. I don't remember where I was going with that. It's just the balance in this, like, because the poke is resolving the good and the bad and the bad and the good. Oh, I know. See, I just had to restep. It's like, you know, when you walk into the kitchen, like, why did I come in here? You can't remember until you walk out to the room you were standing in, and then you look around and you go, oh yeah, because I needed a fork for my cake. So, okay. Just again. And people are like, Cindy, this message is so serious. You know what? In life, it's just a short period of time. Let's not get so hung up on it. Yeah. Shit. I can't let myself get distracted. The good and the bad. Every time I say that, it comes back to me. And there we go. That's so weird. I was trying to read it and it wouldn't come back reading it. I had to say it. So we obviously have to be on this trip together. So the good and the bad, and the bad and the good. It sounded like a dog barking. Every time I try to say this, I get distracted. Why is that? I wanted to say, here it comes, it's kind of like that runner chaser energy that a lot of people will talk about, you know, but I feel like that exists because we feel like we're ready for something. And then there's probably something going on that we're putting out there that's causing the person that we're trying to approach to now back off, right? So I feel like it's almost like these magnets, you know, when you turn them, they can either come together, draw each other in, or if you do, then they bounce each other off, just like that. So yeah, that is part of why the good and the bad and the bad and the good. I want to say that whatever this energy is, that this energy of forgiveness, of balance, of clearing karma, there's no space in this reading for that person did that, so this is because why I reacted that way. If you feel that in this reading, you're not there yet. There's no space for that here. This is literally the olive branch, and I just, like, right, because if you think about it too, like somebody is holding an olive branch and the other person is grasping the olive branch. So it's not even like shaking hands on something, it is agreeing to meet in the middle. So, wow, right? Like, what a reading. It might not be that long because it's, yeah, anyways. So I'll show you tarot cards too in a minute. The underlying tarot cards are transformation, four of cups for water into Queen of Water. This is, I want to say, transforming opportunities that were perhaps missed, opportunities that were not seen for what they could have. I don't want to say what they could have been because I feel like they still can be. Yeah. And it was, so too, if not investing in something emotionally, I mean, this is emotional investment with the Queen of Water. I need a sip of tea. Oh, look at this. That's interesting. Concentration is the underlying for the Puppy Tarot. We have forgiveness, vulnerability, and relaxation. Pay attention. Pay close attention to this reading. Yeah, so I'm not reading this as past, present, and future. I'm literally reading this as yin, yang, and the whole. Oh, this one. Okay, so as the whole with relaxation. Oh, how do you say this? This is G Hogba or something. Hogba. I don't know what it is. Number 61. Okay, so this guy is about imaginary fears. So this is the other thing. This is crazy. Imaginary fears, unreal hazards, realistic caution. Okay. Again, I love that that's in there because we're already talking about, okay, well, if you want to try to meet in the middle with someone, if there's imaginary fears and unreal hazards, okay, then that's, I want to say, because there's 2 points that are made there. So there could be, and there's 2 energies here. So in both cases, these may not be real, but they are things that we project. I think it says that, confronting and resolving false fear, real. Is it real or is it a projection of our old traumas? This is, I tell you, this reading is off the charts for like the yin and the healing of the yin and the yang. So, and realistic caution, right? So that again comes in to say, okay, realistically, I was cautious because I had this imaginary fear based on my past or projection of my old traumas. So that's why I did that. It's real. Like there was a real purpose to it. I wasn't doing that on purpose. That's who I am. And then, of course, so the other one is unreal hazards. Well, feeling like this could be really dangerous. This is not safe. But again, that's based on perhaps the other person, again, saying this is actually a projection of my own old traumas. See why it's so important that this is an olive branch. It might be initiated by the masculine. I just want to say that. But I feel like there is apology and forgiveness. I almost feel, I want to say that I almost feel with this reading that is almost like if these are 2, I hate to say that too. Well, it's 2 solid halves. Okay. Because even the symbol of yin and yang are 2 pieces that come together to form one. So, and we always say, well, I'm not one piece of another person. I am my own person. But you have to create that. And then when you do come together, like, right, it's right here. There are 2 pieces that make a whole. So it is bringing that together. And it is about your wholeness as one to do that. Where was I going next? This is just a very different reading from anything I've pulled out before. So just bear with me. And it's funny too, because it's almost like this information comes in and then it can be easily lost too. That's the other thing, like I think that's something that a lot of people don't get. Like, because there's people that can just read tarot and know the cards and that's great. And that takes a lot of work and a lot of talent. But then when you read them like intuitively and you're downloading messages, like it's not that easy and it can't always be like a straight line to get to where you're going. And it is also like, I feel like the information that's coming in it's literally almost like just a curtain opens for a second and then it closes in this reading. Yeah. Oh yeah, we were talking about him. Thank you. Okay. I just have to reground and like, where were we? Because I am almost like, I feel like I'm kind of going somewhere to grab this information. So we're talking about resolving false fears. We have we're realistically cautious because of certain things that we're seeing, but some of the things that we're seeing are also our own interpretation based on our traumas. So again, we were going with why the olive branch is so important, because I want to say both energies here have or had their own issues or are having their own issues. and resolving them. And then when those can be resolved as each individual as a whole, then these two wholes come together to make something entirely new. Ah, I'm seeing the, is it the Sea Serpent card in the Wild Unknown Oracle deck? And I've always said that card always to me is like two things that come together to make something brand new that's never been created before. Because this is a sea serpent circling an egg, but there's like these things that look like energy coming into the egg, but they always look like little sperm, like about, you know, when you look at it microscopically, when a sperm is getting into an egg to fertilize it. And if you think about it like a sperm and an egg, a yin and a yang, those are two things, two separate things, whole healthy things. They have to be or they won't make a baby. It just won't go to full gestation most of the time. Right? So these two whole things, two whole healthy things come together and form something new that's never been created before. So I want to say too, like a relationship on the level that neither is experienced before as well. So the Chariot, the Ten of Water, and the Four of Earth. This is the He of the Fiery Sword. So this has been there's been a block, like holding. Okay, I'm getting from the masculine energy, there's been like a desire to create happiness in a connection, for there to be blessings, like this, the blessing energy that comes in after the soul shrinker. This energy has either been holding off, or it's kind of like a waiting. I feel like it's a waiting. So if it's doing that, I want to say that there's, and I do also want to say that this masculine energy is in a good spot. The divine with this Ten of Cups, it's holding on to this. It's holding on to this energy, to this feeling, to this emotion. And then the divine feminine. Okay, here we go. There's something going on here. So we have the Ten of Air, the Fire, the Five of Wands, and the High Priestess. So this is a very spiritual, but it's also, I want to say that there's some sort of spiritual work that's happening with the divine feminine, with the yin. And it is resolving conflicts, internal conflicts perhaps, maybe even external conflicts. After, with the Ten of Swords too, after the end of an ego, after the end of, and when I say the end of an ego, we all have ego. And ego represents, like, it's a word that's so easily thrown around to, well, that person's got a huge ego. Well, I mean, that, yeah. And that's kind of like how it should be thrown around, I guess, in a negative way. But we all need ego to have an identity. So if we don't have that, then we're literally, actually, we wouldn't be much of a person, because we wouldn't stand for anything. We wouldn't believe anything. We wouldn't have our own moral compass. So we do need an ego. And I think that's also one of the reasons why the Ten of Swords is so painful, because the ego was developed, right? And whatever ego that we're sitting in right now, or if we talk about one that has just been, that has just ended, that has just kind of been mentally destroyed. Again, it's like the curtain starts to close on these. I've never done a reading where information is so flighty. Okay, yeah, I'm capturing it. So the end of that ego was built up for a reason. There were things going on in our lives, right? But it can be connected to these our own old traumas, and coming to terms with that through spirituality. So, it's interesting too. So I really honestly feel like in this reading, I feel like the divine masculine is kind of waiting for the divine feminine in this case. if these are two parts within you, which actually I think you can read this reading both ways, because it just said, like, for these two pieces to come together to make a whole, each one of those pieces has to be a whole on its own. So the divine masculine, yes, because the divine masculine has done work here. And it's in a very good place. But I do feel like it's waiting for the divine feminine to be receptive. Oh yeah, so the two parts of yourself, it could be also like parts of you that want to move forward and do things. Like, okay, it's really time to start doing this. But the feminine part of you might be holding yourself back, because it might be, again, like I said, if it's time to jump forward, but you're holding yourself back, it's because the divine feminine energy within you is working through the end of how it knew itself, how it protected itself, how it nurtured itself, how it did this outside of itself with others as well, and coming to terms with the conflict in that. So the divine feminine energies right now are, I want to say, being a little bit greedy, but so here, being a little bit greedy and selfish of its energy, but it's warranted with the Ten of Swords and the Five of Wands. Like, because like I said, if there's like almost like no ego there to just step out and let anything come in, what's that going to make? That's just going to make another problem. So it's honestly like this divine feminine energy is perhaps vulnerable right now, in that, like, I'm seeing a sponge, right? Like, it's like the ego represents a sponge, and you dip it in the waters of experience, and then you pull it out and it's dripping, like it's saturated in experience. It needs to be like wrung out. All of that needs to come out. But wait a second, if you just like let the wind take this light empty sponge and just land in any bucket, that's not, no. So that when I say it's being greedy and selfish of its energy, it is warranted, because it's being squeezed out, and it is coming like, and I love that it's the High Priestess, because it is sort of like doing work with the universe. So coming to terms with its own internal conflicts so that it can choose what it wants to absorb. And absorbing, actually, if we think about that too, like even the sponge and water. So I would see the water as yang and the sponge as yin, the active and the receptive. So it could even say that the divine feminine is preparing itself for union with the divine masculine, to be receptive. But to do that, the sponge needs to be wrung out. And then I love that this just feels like resolving, like relaxing, to finally relax, to resolve internal conflicts, to resolve hidden fears, realistic caution. And you see, that's the realistic caution. That would also, I would put into the energy of the divine feminine. It's perhaps it is vulnerable. All right. Oh, so we got the Star, the Eight of Water, and the King of Fire. So this could be like an energy of return. I feel like, well, divine feminine, divine masculine, like any of you that are sort of on journeys like that, well, you may not even, okay, so here's the thing. I don't want to say that either, because some of you may say, you know what, Cindy, I still haven't found my divine masculine, or I still haven't found my divine feminine. Well, I want to say I think you're on the path to it. It's interesting because I've picked this up a few times in Capricorn over the years, where you guys are going towards quite a very deep and just absolutely beautiful relationship. But right, I think it was a long time ago that I did that reading. And I only remember it because every once in a while, like, I'll see it fall into my feed, or somebody will comment on it. And I'm like, wow, that was a while ago. That was a couple houses ago. So there's the healing, and then healing, the Eight of Cups, the emotional disconnect. I want to say that is something that is going on with the divine feminine, is an emotional disconnect. And it is important that that happens right now. So if you are a divine masculine and you're waiting for somebody that you know, the sponge needs to be wrung out, or you can't be absorbed into it, right? You can't be received. So as well, if you're like, well, I haven't met mine yet. Well, you're going to. I really feel like you are going to, Capricorn. I feel like you are destined. And I will say this, though. I feel like if you look at this reading as yourself as the whole, your divine masculine energy looks pretty healed. It's holding on and waiting for your divine feminine. So the ways that we protect and nurture ourselves here, that's what you're working on right now. What how you protect and nurture, right? But because protect is no, I don't want that water coming into my sponge. Nurture, okay, bring that water in. Like, it's making those choices and decisions. And I do feel like, though, then as individuals, your divine masculine is out there and he's ready and he's holding off for you wherever he is. He or she is too, because especially if we're talking about same-sex relationships, like, don't get caught up in that either, because even in same-sex relationships, there is, when you come together with someone, if you are both exactly the same, then you end up actually like two magnets. You just bounce off. So even one will be a little more masculine and one will be a little more feminine. Yeah, it's just so that, and so if you're a masculine waiting, she's coming. She's wringing out the sponge. And I have this burning heart, the masculine with a burning heart here. I just heard the burning heart of desire. But remember that it's a burning heart of desire, not burning. Well, it could be. I don't know. Anyways, I think that's all I have to say. I don't even want to pull any clarifiers. Well, actually, no. I don't want to complicate this. I don't want to complicate this because I feel like that would get too nitpicky. And I don't want to nitpick this reading. It's the same way, and that I'm talking about like an olive branch between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. It is kind of like meeting in between, which is really important to bring polarities together. So I don't know. That didn't actually seem that long, or maybe there was something weird about this reading. It was kind of, if I could recapture it, I don't know if I could. Because I don't even know how much time went by. Like, it was one of those readings where it felt like time was standing still. Like, I have no concept of how much time that took. And it was just weird the way I would have a message, and then if I deviated even slightly from it, it would just disappear. I mean, I get that sometimes, but not so much in a reading like this. So I'm going to go do the extended. In the extended, I'm just leaving it completely open to the universe. I'm going to use the Energy Oracle deck and the tarot, just whatever the universe wants to talk to you about. Capricorn, the universe wants to talk to you about, and that's what I got. There you go. Wow. It's beautiful, Capricorn. Until next time, do be gentle with yourselves. Bye.